Hi, thank you for being here again. My name is Peggy Nzomo. I am currently situated in the USA, but I am from Kenya originally. I have presented several times at the ISIL, your sister conference, but this is my first time at ISIL Africa, so I feel like I should have done this a while ago. I feel at home at ISIL Africa. So I'm so excited to be here, and thank you so much for having us here. The BA are a wonderful collaborator with us. Thank you, BA, for the welcome that you have given us. We are so grateful for that. And before I go much further, I would like to introduce our director, Dr. Clara Chu, and she'll say a couple of words just about what we do at the Mortenson Center for International Library Programs at the University of Illinois.
Greetings, everyone. It's wonderful to be here, and as Peggy said, to receive such a warm welcome from the BA and all the organizers of this workshop. We just wanted to give you context in terms of the work that we do, and the work that we do is because at the Mortenson Center, where Peggy and I both work, then we strengthen international ties among libraries and librarians worldwide for the promotion of international education, understanding, and peace. And so we're very cognizant of taking an international approach and be aware of inequities that may exist in the world, and try to collaborate with libraries to ensure that we are the most effective that we can be. And so at the back, you will see a brochure about our center and the different types of work that we do, from training programs to partnerships to receiving visiting scholars and lectures and webinars. And so I wanted to highlight this other paper that you can also pick up, and this flyer provides information about our 3.5-week program. So it's an opportunity to enhance your leadership skills, and this coming June, we will be focusing on Libraries Unbound, open, inclusive, and engage. So if you're interested in spending 3.5 weeks with other librarians around the world, please pick up one of the flyers and learn more about this program. So with that, I'll turn it over to Peggy. Thank you, Peggy.
All right, so welcome again to this workshop. This workshop is designed for interaction. So I want you all to feel free. We are all learning from each other. You have something that you're going to offer somebody else. Trust me, you know something that somebody else doesn't know. So we are all learning from each other. So there's going to be a lot of interaction, especially on your tables. If you see a slide come up that says food for thought, that means you are going to be thinking and eating that food on your table and sharing with one another. I'm going to have Nevin Negi. Nevin was actually an associate at our program, and so she's been fantastic welcoming us here, and it's so nice to have her back. And Samia as well, we have worked with them on another workshop called Strengthening Innovative Library Leaders. And so we have just done that workshop for 2 days, and they've been very helpful. They're going to be walking around the tables in case you need translation or just something is not clear. They will help with that. And Dr. Chu is here as well to help with any questions you might have around your tables. And without much further ado, so let's get into this. I want to get a little bit of just a pulse for where you are at with information literacy. If you've done any instruction, just your interactions or your involvement with information literacy. And so I'm going to start up with a poll. If you want to go to that website and answer for me on a scale of 1 to 5, your knowledge of information literacy. So 5 would be, I know a lot about information literacy, and 1 would be, I don't know too much about information literacy. So I'm going to open up that poll. If you go there, you can join by text, or you can go to that website, or you can scan the QR code and then just give your response. If you're having any issues, oh, good. people have started responding. Good, good. I'll give you a couple more minutes. What? It's too small. Okay. I don't know. If you can go to the website, I think that might be. The link is right there. paulev.com, Peggy Nzomo, 509. It's too small? Okay. Oh, nice. I'll give you a couple more. Feel free to come to the front to scan or whatever. Yeah, you can scan here. Yeah. You want to scan from here? Did it capture? No? Hey. It's not.
It enters.
Yeah. Peggy Nzomo 509. You want to use the website, that website there, paulev.com, Peggy Nzomo 509. If it's taking you back to then you need to put. Join presentation, Peggy Nzomo, so you just write in Peggy Nzomo,
Okay.
509.
Right here?
Yes. Once it takes you there. Okay, how about we do this, because it's taking us long to do that, and we need, oh yeah, good. I think those are good responses so far we have. Once you get to paulev.com, put in Peggy Nzomo 509, and then you'll be able to vote. Did you get it? Okay, it's okay. It's okay. I think yours is what? Probably what, 5? Okay. All right, thank you so much for voting. I can see between a 2 and a 4, 30%. But there's people who have very good knowledge, 20%, so that's really good. And then moderate, 20%. I'm glad there's nobody at 1. So I think you're going to be very comfortable. And if there's somebody on your table who has very good knowledge, please feel free to just take up that mantle and mentor your peers at the table. So we are all learning from each other. And now we're going to go to our next poll. Okay. This one is about media literacy. Let's see. Do you know a lot about media literacy? Do you know very little? 5 is a lot. 1 is very little. Oh, okay. Nice. Moderate 44, 22 with very little. Mm-hmm. Okay, good, good. Nice. 46, 43, nice, moderate. Okay, I think I'm gonna stop it here. Thank you again for voting. And it gives me an indication that a lot more people are more comfortable with information literacy than media literacy, which is okay because media literacy is a subset of information literacy. So that's quite okay. And now let's go back to our presentation. Okay, so let's go a little bit into what are your expectations of this workshop? What are you expecting to gain from this workshop? Talk to me. What are your expectations?
Statistics about the knowledge and the use of it in libraries.
Statistics about what knowledge?
Literacy or information.
Any others? Statistics? Yes.
To acquire more knowledge.
To work on what?
To acquire more knowledge.
To acquire more
Aspect-
knowledge
to
about
acquire more
information
knowledge about-
literacy?
So that
Okay.
I can make impact in my institution.
Okay, take it back to your institution. Thank you. Anybody else?
For me, it's about knowing more about media literacy in today's AI environment.
Thank you. We're going to cover a little bit of that. AI literacy, AI and how it affects information literacy and media literacy. Yes?
I'm very passionate about information literacy and I want to incorporate it in my institution to handle with students. So I want to know the content
Yes.
of information literacy and media literacy so that I will target the students at that.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. That's very important. Our role as librarians, information literacy is where it lies actually in today's world. This is where we remain relevant as librarians and information specialists. Any other responses? Yes. Nadine?
In fact, I was thinking about if we would talk about instructional design in terms of
Yes.
like AI literacy.
I will.
Yeah.
I will.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. Yes, yes. Actually, we will talk a lot about instruction, information literacy instruction, and how we can pass these information literacy skills to our users. And so thank you all for sharing your expectations. I might meet most of those expectations, but if I don't, we can always communicate later and keep this conversation going. We are looking for collaborations amongst information literacy instruction librarians all over the world because of some things that I'm going to share with you later. So we are looking for collaborations. So this conversation will keep going even after this workshop. So our learning objectives, though, for today is to articulate the importance of information literacy instruction and infodemic management. And those terms, we will learn more about them later. Describe the role of librarians, information scientists, in IL instruction and infodemic management, using principles of backward design, design an information literacy program, information literacy course, or information literacy instruction session. And then amongst our tables, if we have time, we will share sample learning objectives when you're creating a session or a course. some lesson plans, some activities that you might do, some assignments, program evaluations, all of that stuff we will share on our tables and just learn from one another. So as an overview, here's what we're going to do. We will do a definition of information literacy and media literacy. They're pretty much the same, but you'll see some nuances and differences. So we'll do all those definitions. We'll also define critical information literacy. We'll then go over the importance of information literacy, media literacy, critical information literacy. We'll go over some frameworks and context of information literacy. We'll go over context of media literacy. We'll go over information integrity and information management. And then finally, at the end, we'll talk about information literacy instruction and how you can actually instruct your users in information literacy. So to start with, what is a definition of information literacy? This one is taken from the SCRL Framework for Information Literacy for Higher Education. Now, SCRL stands for Association of College and Research Libraries. It's a body that is part of the American Library Association in the USA. And the definition they have given of information literacy is, it's a set of integrated abilities encompassing the reflective discovery of information, understanding how information is produced and valued, and the use of information in creating new knowledge and participating ethically. We've heard a lot about ethics, ethically in communities of learning. Again, the emphasis there, those are words that, the emphasis is mine. Those are words that we are going to keep talking about. Like for instance, right now we talk a lot about teaching our students to think of themselves as creators of knowledge. Information creators are not just information consumers. You're not just there to take up information. You have to think of yourself as a creator of information as well. Okay, critical information literacy, a little bit different, but critical information literacy takes into consideration the social, political, economic, and corporate systems that have power and influence over information production, dissemination, access, and consumption. So with critical information literacy, you're just looking at, okay, where is this information coming from? How is the government controlling this information? The fact that there's a government controlling that information, is it credible? Is it biased? Is it objective? So you're looking at all of that critically and asking yourself all of these things. Another thing about critical information literacy, you look at information privilege. Do you have privilege, information privilege? Does everybody have access to information in the same way? Probably not. I can give you an example right now. If you speak English and know English, you have information privilege. Have you thought about that? You have information privilege. I just want to thank the organization, the organizers of this workshop, because you have English, French, and Arabic. There's many conferences you go to, it's only in English. That creates some sort of privilege. If you speak English, you can go to any conference in the world. If you don't speak English, there's a lot of conferences you're not going to be able to attend. So critical information literacy looks at those kinds of things, and you think about those. Media literacy. Media literacy encompasses practices that allow people to access, critically evaluate, and create or manipulate media and communication. So again, those same principles, critically evaluate, access, and create, okay? So it's pretty much similar to information literacy, and we'll do a little bit more of the nuances and learn what the differences might be. That definition is from the National Association of Media Literacy in Education. Now, what are some uses of information literacy? There's a lot of times people, okay, what is information literacy anyway? But one way you can explain it is by explaining, what do you use information literacy for? Why is it so useful? And there's a lot of things that information literacy has been found to be useful for lifelong learning, personal growth and empowerment. We say knowledge is power, but what is knowledge? It's information, right? If you have knowledge, you have power. But knowledge is composed of information. So it is important for all of that. Active, effective, and responsible citizenship and civic engagement. This just has to do with politics and voting. If you don't know how to access the issues and who are the candidates and getting informed about those types of things, then you don't get to participate in the political arena in your country. So information literacy can help you access that type of information. Patient engagement. Doctors these days are looking for patients who are engaged in their care. When you go to the doctor, if you have information literacy skills, then you are prepared with the right questions. You're asking the doctor, okay, what about this? How am I going to take care of myself about this? You think about COVID-19 and the misinformation that was there. But if you have information literacy skills, then you access credible information that can help you so that you're not getting into all these conspiracy theories and things that will not help you with your health. Self-actualization. Self-actualization just has to do, like your career. If you think about your career, knowing how to write your resume, knowing how to research jobs, information literacy skills right there. Social inclusion and social justice. If you want to be involved in social justice issues, information literacy skills are important. Student engagement and active learning. This one I don't need to explain because actually, you know, information literacy is so overemphasized and rightfully so with education. And that's why sometimes people think, okay, information literacy is only for academic libraries. Not so, and we're going to see that. Even for public libraries and school libraries, they need to be teaching information literacy. So we're going to see that. Why? If you talk about effective advocacy engagement, advocacy is everywhere. It's not just in the university or colleges. Advocacy is everywhere. You talk about self-advocacy, you know, knowing how to advocate for yourself. You need information literacy skills to know what kind of issues you need to advocate for yourself and how to do that. So this is from a study that my colleague and I did that showed that a lot of advocacy skills and behavior are actually very, very related to information literacy skills. So again, just that relevance right there. Okay, let's talk a little bit about information literacy divide. And this is a definition that I have come up with in a paper that I've written. It is the gap that is caused by various factors that lead to a lack of access to information and or inability to use information appropriately and efficaciously. So if you think about, we talk a lot about the digital divide, right? Most of us know about the digital divide, and it has to do with a lack of technology in some areas. But the information literacy also, there are people who have information literacy skills, and then there are some who have almost none. So there's a divide there in some sort of ways. And so at your tables, I'm going to ask you to think a little bit about this, given that definition or what you know of information literacy. And I'm going to ask you to work with your tables and discuss a little bit, and then we'll come back together. Do you think that there is an information literacy divide? Do you think there's an information literacy divide? What are some factors that cause an information literacy divide? And what are some things that can be done to bridge that divide so that we have an information literate society, or we have more people with information literacy skills? What are some things that can be done to bridge that divide? So I'm going to have you discuss on your tables a little bit. That's our first food for thought. And Naveen and Samia will be around to help you. You can write down, you can discuss, and you have 5 minutes or less because we're running out of time. 4 minutes. Keep me on time. Thank you. Thank you. 20 seconds, 20 seconds. Okay, time's up. Can I have some people talk about what do you think? Is there an information literacy divide? Yes? Why do you think so?
Actually, we have. Okay. Actually, we have more than one reason.
Okay, that's good.
As the first one is the lack of the equipments or the technological equipments. Also, that not all of the institutions have the same awareness and believe in the importance of the information literacy. So that makes the divide.
Yes.
And let me jump to the third part, which is what can help to get up or to get this bridge is to have awareness or enough awareness from the institution. And actually we talk about the institutions اللي هي لا الحكومية the government sorry the governmental the governmental institutions should participate in raising the awareness and have as a clear guidelines for all the educational, especially the educational institutions, and have to powerful the role of the libraries, even the public, academic, or even the school libraries. Actually, all of them have the same importance.
Yes, yes.
And that's it.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, and you did pretty good in summarizing the whole thing, which is great. So there's that lack of awareness, lack of technology. Everything these days is, technology. If you lack the skills to access that technology, divide right there. And then you're mentioning some of the interventions. You're talking about government. So I'll tell you, like, for instance, in the USA, the state of Illinois has made it mandatory for school libraries to include media literacy in their curriculum. So that's how the government can intervene. So now school libraries or schools, high schools and elementary schools, I don't know what you call them here, primary school, secondary school, they have to teach media literacy. They have to put it in the curriculum. So government intervention, that is great. Any other table that wants to share? What did you discover? Yes.
With the ideas that I put together from my table, from my intellectual ladies over here,
yes,
we are saying that we have different levels of information literacy that creates the divide.
Yes.
And the factors that lead to that is also our environment, awareness creation, levels of education, the skills, and then access to information as a whole.
Right.
Environment, we look at the infrastructure that is provided. So we are comparing this thing to some villages that lack those infrastructure for media literacy and then access to information.
Right.
We are also looking at the finances, because without finance, they cannot access or have those infrastructures. So the financial support, which is weak. And the third question is about bridging the gap. We are looking at the policies that might be put in place for information literacy enforcement.
Yes.
And then also the sustainable development goal of is it goal 13, I may have forgotten, might also be enforced on all educational sectors.
Right, right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, yes. You brought up a new point right there about finances. Did you know information is not free? We'll talk a little bit about that. If you don't have money to pay for subscriptions we see all these vendors out there. If you don't have money to pay for those subscriptions, information literacy divide right there. I know for a fact in Africa, we are using these old journals and old books. We don't have access to the new stuff, or we don't have access to produce new knowledge, new research. Finances right there, so that's a key one. What about you guys? Do you want to talk about a little bit?
I would like to add concerning the financial factor, maybe the economic issue at globally may affect the information literacy.
Right.
If I'm suffering from on the basis of the economic factor, I'm having hard time to gain my bread. So I don't think about getting more information or seeking knowledge, or I'm having hard time to find more, let's say, more
Food.
yes, vital
Yeah.
to live.
Necessities,
To live.
yes, yeah.
So that's what, and of course, like my colleague added, the social factors, the economic, the political factors, what the government aware is ready to pass information to people, and what is the access to information, what's forbidden, what's allowed, what's
Right, yeah.
yeah. The culture may affect the information.
Access to information, yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
the culture itself. What area of information to be sought, the category of knowledge to be discovered.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah, sometimes information is not considered very like a necessity. You think, well, I just need to put food on the table. But we can see even how information literacy can play into, hey, educating the farmers so that they get more produce. So sometimes we don't think that information literacy is even linked to food and all of that. But some of these things, we see information is so crucial in all of these things to help you get a better job, so then you can get more money to put food on the table and all of that. So all of this is linked to information. Do you guys want to share, or has everything been shared? If you're dying to share something, that's okay, but if not, we can move on. Any new things? Okay. All right, so let's move on a little bit. I think we have exhausted that. Let's get into the nitty-gritty details of the framework, or some things that you can use to help you teach information literacy. I think if you have a framework to start from, it can help. I'm going to give the example of the SCRL framework, not because it's the best out there, not because of anything. There are different types of frameworks. The issue with frameworks is you take it and make it relevant to your own context. It just gives you a starting point, and then you can make it relevant to your own country or how you use it. The SCRL framework is made up of 6 frames, and we'll go over each one of these specifically. It says information creation as a process, searching as a strategic exploration. These are different skills that you might want to teach. Research as inquiry, scholarship as a conversation, authority is constructed and contextual, and information has value. Another framework, this one comes from the UK, the Chartered Institute for Library Information Professionals, and this one has 5 contexts. I love this one because it is so practical. This one can be used anywhere, in schools, in libraries, in school libraries, public libraries, anywhere. It has 5 contexts: information literacy in the workplace, information literacy and health, information literacy and citizenship, information literacy in everyday life, and then information literacy and education. So let's look a little bit about the SILIP context of information literacy and how it could be used in the public library, how you can set this up so that you're teaching in the public library context concepts of information literacy. When you look at the first one, information literacy and everyday life, you can set up sessions on AI literacy, financial literacy. The public needs that. Everybody needs that. You can set up a session about financial literacy. You can set up a session about digital literacy. We had somebody from South Africa talking about seniors and how they lack the digital literacy to access certain things. You can set up digital literacy classes for seniors or older people. News literacy, my God, do we need this? You talk about fake news. You can have somebody come into the library to talk about fake news and how to access news and how to think critically about what you're accessing as news. Citizenship, you can have somebody during an election year like we have in the US right now, you can have somebody come to educate people in the library about voting, okay? How they can be involved in as citizens in the political arena. So digital literacy right there, digital citizenship, media literacy right there. You can have health information literacy. I mean, that is so important. You can have somebody come to the public library to talk about that. Workplace, oh my gosh, do we need that for, we need information literacy for research, for doing our work every day, records management. Talk about even emails and just good practices for email. You can have somebody talk about how information literacy can help you with all of this stuff. Communication at work, you can have somebody talk about that. And then education, of course, we know about information literacy in the workplace, I mean in education, for getting good grades, for doing your research, media literacy, AI literacy, again, in our schools. Okay, so the key with this, especially at a public library situation, is that it's not so much about you doing all of that, teaching all that stuff. Nobody can teach all that stuff. It is in collaborating with the community, getting somebody who can teach about gardening. Come and teach us about gardening. And as you do that, you get to talk to people in the community, you get to invite people into the community to be in the library. You can have somebody come and talk about financial literacy. You don't have to be the one doing all of this stuff. You can collaborate with an expert to come into the library and teach these things. Now, let me get into a little bit about the SCRL framework. This one is the one that is mostly used probably in colleges. I think it would be appropriate. So information creation as a process. And I have tried to put this AI thing there just to show that AI is involved in all of those processes. You talk about information creation as a process, you're talking about starting maybe as research, and then you're writing, and then you're revising your work, and then you have a final product, and then all the byproducts that come with that, a journal article, it might be a book, it might be conference proceedings like where we are at right now. All of that require information literacy, right? To even do research, to find out articles that might be relevant, to go and carry out your research, you need information literacy skills. And AI, as we have seen and know, is now involved in all of these processes. Again, the key, like if you're teaching information creation as a process to your students or something like that, you want to emphasize to them that you want them to see themselves as producers, creators of information, not just consumers. You're telling them, hey, you're here, you're at the university level, you're not just consuming information. See yourself as adding to the knowledge and not just consuming what other people have written. Then you have searching as a strategic exploration. We know now that people are just using Google. Research has shown that students are not starting with a scholarly database. So Boolean operators, yes, you're teaching them Boolean operators and you're teaching them how to search a database, but students are not using that anymore. They're just going to Google. And then with AI, you put in a prompt and you have your research or your articles right there. So the thing to teach them is you have to be careful where you're searching at, okay? So before I used to teach this and say, okay, if you're looking for a book, you go to the catalog. If you're looking for an article, you go to a database. If you're looking for everyday news or just other stuff, you go to the internet. But right now with AI, we are all at the search engine place. People are just going to Google. The question is, how are they searching? can you teach them effective ways of getting to that information faster? Okay, that's where information literacy comes in. Can you teach them how to evaluate the information that they are getting? That's how information literacy skills come in. Scholarship as a conversation, and we talk a lot about this, academic integrity, you know, the plagiarism thing, and all of that. And before then, people, when you would be talking like in a conversation and you make these kinds of pronouncements, like you say, hey, I invented basketball, you look ridiculous. But this is what students do all the time. You write a paper, you don't say where you got the information from, and you claim it as your own. That's ridiculous, right? But so, academic integrity. But then with AI, so what do? You get information from AI and you just plot it in a paper and you pretend it's your own. Teach students to take pride in what they have to say and to say, hey, these are my own ideas, but this I got from AI. It's okay to use AI, but cite it. Cite it. This is where we are now. You cite it. Just say, hey, this is how, and then so as a librarian, you teach students how to cite AI or how to cite the information they get from other places. So this has a lot of AI implications, this scholarship as a conversation. Authority is contextual and constructed. This is where now you ask yourself, is this information credible? Who is the authority behind it? When you're teaching students, you ask them to always look at who is the author behind this. Is this person an expert? We talk about it being constructed and being contextual because if you're looking for a recipe for falafel, what is the, maybe your mother might be an authority for that. You don't need Albert Einstein to be an authority for that. That's why it's contextual and constructed. So you need to find out, okay, is this person an expert for the information that I need? So teaching students to think about that. And when it comes to the internet, so many people can claim a lot of things. So you need to teach students, hey, there's good information, and then there's just bad information out there, and we look at misinformation and disinformation later. And then there's questionable information. So just teaching students that depending on your information need and depending on the context, then you need to look at who is putting out this information. Okay, so related to that, we teach students how to evaluate information on the web. Sorry. I don't know how to go back. Sorry. Okay, we teach students how to evaluate information on the web. I'm gonna just keep going on that. It's not important. But there are criteria that you can use for that. And it's just asking who is the author, again, asking who is the author, who is, how in-depth is that information, that sort of thing. So again, right now with the web and AI, some of that criteria is just, you're not able to tell. Because if you just go to ChatGPT or whatever, it will spit out all this information, and you don't know where it's getting it from, okay? So a framework that's a researcher's inquiry, there's AI implications for all of that. This is how you do your research, and then the output right there is in a format of a paper. If you're writing a paper in a journal or something, for introduction, people are using AI all the time to do this, objective research questions. There are AI implications for all of this. But with the information literacy skills, then all of those sections, you're able to write them as well as possible with the good information literacy skills. Okay, this is my favorite one of all the frames. Information has value. And when you just think about the different dimensions of value of information, the monetary value, we just talked about how information is not free. You know, students don't realize that whatever they're getting from the library, the subscription, the databases, the articles, they're not free. They think, oh yeah, I'm just gonna get it from the library. They don't realize that they have paid for it with their tuition. Those databases cost money. How many of you have encountered a paywall? Do you know what a paywall is? Paywall? Like maybe you're reading a newspaper article and then it tells you, you need to pay up now, you need a subscription. You've encountered that? Yes. It tells you information is not free. You need money to access information. Academic, of course, you need good information in order to write a good paper. Workplace related, we talked about doing research and doing your work well. You need information. Personal interests, recipes. Many of us go to the internet. Even when you have a health problem, you go and search for information. You need information literacy skills for that. And it tells you that there's value with information. If you have the right information, it might help you solve the headache that you have or something, a health-related thing that you have. DIY is like do it yourself. How many of you use YouTube videos to do, let's say, do a statistical, yes. Oh yeah, I have a problem with my computer. I'm just gonna search the internet to see, YouTube to see how to solve that. Information has value. Then the last one, leisure and entertainment, social media, all of this stuff, information has value. All of this stuff has information in it. Even when you're watching a movie, it has some sort of information in it. So information has value, and now we know that all of these, there are AI implications to access any of this. Let's talk a little bit about dollars and pounds, Egyptian pounds, yes. The cost of information, there's a quote here that says, on the one hand, information wants to be free because the cost of it is getting lower and lower all the time. But on the other hand, information wants to be expensive because it is so valuable. We've just seen the value of information. The right information in the right place changes your life. So you have these two things fighting each other. Information wants to be free, but then it's not free. Okay? So now let's look at our next food for thought. On your tables, let's discuss. God, Naveed, can you come and help me? Yes. On your tables, let's discuss, is information free? Will it be free? What are implications for AI now that you can find information through AI? Does that mean it's free? So let's talk a little bit about that. And you know about the open access movement and open educational resources? What are some implications for that and the cost of information? How do we pay for these things? So like, discuss on your tables a little bit about the cost of information and if it's free or not. 2 minutes. Yes, 2 minutes, so let's do it quick. Thank you, Nadine. Time? Time up. Okay, we are going to hear from that table and this table. What did you think? Is information free? Do you guys want to speak or no? I want to give a chance to this table and that table because they didn't speak last time. But if you don't want, that's fine.
Are you ready now?
Yes? No?
Okay, Peggy.
Yes?
Peggy, we have.
Okay. Yeah, let's hear from you. What did you think?
أنا هي
Okay.
على ما أظن إن المعلومات كلها هي ممكن تكون مجانية بس مش كلها. في حاجات ممكن إن إحنا نعملها open access بس برضو في مؤلفين تانيين مش هيسمحوا بده، لازم يرجع لهم بعائد مادي عشان يتيحوا المعلومات.
Some of the information has an open access, so people can access it easily without money. But like others, especially when they have like some sort of author or something, they wouldn't allow their information without taking back money.
Okay. That table up there.
Right there, okay.
You can speak in Arabic, it's fine.
حد عايز يتكلم بالعربي واحنا
It will be free? No, it will not be. Okay, it not will be totally free. It's like ChatGPT. When you use it, it's like have features. It's a cost to pay to totally use it. Or you need a device to use it. Features. I think so. It's not be free. You can use it a little bit time, but not totally to use it. The implication of the AI, I think the problem is it will be the ethics of use it. When you make a research or what, it will be the first author and the second author. We don't know the correct answer for that. I think this will be a lot of problems of this use. That's totally.
So anybody dying to say something? Okay, I see this table. Naveen?
Oh, sorry.
I'm going to have to cut off other slides, but yeah, that's okay.
In addition to what my colleagues said, I have an opinion regarding will it be free? Releasing information costs a lot, especially if someone who conducting a research in laboratory or something like that, he needs to pay a lot to fund his experiments and to publish then the articles, his article, he should pay. So will it be free? I'm not sure that all information may be in the future published free. Regarding the implication of the AI recently opened several chances for the researchers to get ideas, to get free information, but also it's not providing the access or full access to the purchased information. The open access as well is doing great job in providing researchers with several articles that will be helpful. But the information, there is a great part of information is not accessible due to the financial issues. Thank you.
Yes. I don't think information is going to be free. No, it cannot be free because of the cost of producing it. If you have never watched this movie, you can look it up. It's open access on the internet. Paywall, the business of scholarship. Go and watch that movie. You will see how much money is involved with information. I think there's some things that we can do, yes, open access, but have you tried to publish open access in a journal, then they tell you to pay? Hello. So it's open access. You want to publish open access. You're making this research for free. Nobody's paying you to do your research and to produce and to write the paper, but they're asking you to pay. So information will not be free. There's gonna be a lot of it, but it's not going to be free. Now, there's some things, give me a minute. There's some things that we can do with open access and open educational resources. If you are in an institution where research is being produced, you have repositories that can be made accessible to everybody for free. You can collaborate with other institutions that have a little bit more money. So collaborations, there are things that we can do to lessen the cost, but information is not going to be free. That's just it. Yes. Make it quick, please. Yes.
Now, accessing the information, even though it's an open source information, open
Yes.
access information,
Yes.
but accessing the information is expensive. In
Yes.
our part of the world, we have to download it.
Yes.
You use internet, money to buy data or internet to get the information, so it's not
Right.
free.
It's
Even
not free.
accessing it is not free.
Even accessing it is not free. Then the ICT infrastructure that's involved, it's just not free. And it's not gonna be free. Let's switch a little bit and talk about infodemic. How many people have heard about infodemic? Have you heard of that term, infodemic? Infodemic? Okay. This is a term that was coined during pandemic, and it was coined by the WHO General Director, Dr. Tedros. And he said, we are not just fighting a pandemic, we are also fighting an infodemic. And then when COVID-19 was around, there were all kinds of information, so it became an infodemic. I like this definition by Neem and Batty. They just talk about an infodemic being an excessive amount of information concerning a problem. What was the problem at that time? Pandemic, yes. Such that the solution is made more difficult. The end result is that an anxious public finds it more difficult to distinguish between evidence-based information and probably misinformation. So that creates some sort of infodemic. And it may not just be a pandemic, it can be anything. It can be like an election year. So people are bringing out all this information, and it's just so hard for you to tell, what is credible and what is not credible. We talk about information overload. You've heard of that term? Information overload, too much information. That can create an infodemic kind of situation. Now, let's talk about infodemic. Infodemic has disinformation, misinformation, and all of those terms, you can find definitions of it. These are some examples of misinformation and disinformation. I wish we had time to go over all of it, but maybe not now. But false information, which is intended to mislead. This is normally probably put out by a government, like propaganda, disinformation. They want you to be deceived, so it's deliberate. That's disinformation. Disinformation examples, unfortunately, in times of war, disinformation examples in times of war, there's a lot of disinformation. This was actually last year when the war started. We are into the second year, and we are still seeing a lot of disinformation. The Russia and Ukraine war, a lot of disinformation. It depends on who is putting it out, okay? Misinformation, on the other hand, is inaccurate information. It could be intentional or not intentional. This you find even on WhatsApp. You find you're in a group and somebody just forwards something. They didn't think about where it came from. It's misinformation. They don't really intend to deceive you, but they're just passing it on. But it's not accurate information. A misinformation example, I don't know, during the pandemic, if anybody saw this, this was being spread on WhatsApp. This image that looks so credible, it said, oh, Putin has put lions in the streets to keep people at home during the pandemic. Did anybody see that? Or does anybody have examples of misinformation that you have seen around? Can I have any examples of misinformation? Yes?
Tiger at the marine port.
Tiger at the marine port. Misinformation. And people said, when you see this image, you're like, oh yeah, there's a lion. You know, you don't look closely to see the kind of things that would tell you that it's not accurate. So misinformation is there. So media literacy, again, encompasses the practices that allow for people to access critically, evaluate. Yes. Okay. So she's telling me we have 20 minutes, so we are going to move really, really fast. So media literacy, we saw the definition much earlier. Some of the uses of media literacy: it combats misinformation and disinformation. It helps restore the information order. It fosters critical thinking skills. It encourages ethical information sharing practices. If you are media literate, you're not just going to forward anything that you receive. It plays a role in peace education. We've talked about war and peace promotion. It addresses extremism. If you're media literate, you can address some of those things that you might see that may not look very credible. It addresses cyberbullying, like in schools. You can educate students to use media in a media literate way. It leads to better health outcomes. So media literacy, I'm going to jump that. It's just another definition. How many of you have seen this graphic? It is put out by AfLIA, and it is in several languages. There's Arabic, there's over 50 languages. But it talks about how to spot fake news. You can share this in a public library situation. You can share this even with your students. These are some things that students can use to spot fake news. Okay. Yeah. They came up, again, AfLIA came up with this one, an infographic about COVID-19 and how to tell fake news about COVID-19. This one is a newer one, and which is also useful. How to spot fake emails. Do our seniors need this? They need this. They get scammed all the time with somebody getting their money from their bank. You know, you receive an email, you don't know where it's coming from. How to spot fake emails. So this is some of the things that you can teach your definitions between, the differences between IL and ML. The thing to know is that information literacy is the broader term, and media literacy is a narrower term. That's it. Okay, let's go, let's keep going. Information, I think you can jump over that. Let's jump over that, let's jump over that. Infodemic management involves systematic strategies to manage both an overwhelming amount of information, both accurate and false, that spreads during health information, a health emergency such as COVID-19. Okay, I don't think we have time to do this, but I can have some people just talk. How do you think we can help manage infodemic management? I mean, help in infodemic situations. What can LIS professionals do? Yes. Making information available. Okay. Yes. Posters,
You
yes.
paste information. I did some at where I'm working. Students come to the library with that ID card. They'll come to you, they will see the notice there, but they won't read. They'll come to you to ask what they really want.
Yes.
So I refer them back to the posters to go and read.
Okay.
So we have to use posters or making information available through posters and other source of media. Thank you.
Yes. So we can provide credible information to combat the misinformation. That idea of providing credible information is called pre-banking. You know about debunking? Debunking? Debunking, like if there's a theory or misinformation out there that's already been put out, then you can say, oh, no, that information is not right. This is the right information. So you talk about debunking a theory, that's something that people have always believed, and then you say, no, that's not true. This is the truth. Now, pre-banking, you do it before they even put out that false information. You can put out the right information. And we did, in my library where I was working, we did a lot of that during the pandemic. We put together LibGuides, flyers, good information, like the government was also putting together good information. That's pre-banking. You put together the good information before they get to the bad information. Of course, information literacy instruction. You instruct people so they can have good information literacy skills. You can do advocacy. You can be involved in LIS professionals. I like this one of personal integrity and responsibility. You can become the information police. Don't forward something that is misinformation. You can simply ignore it, or if you're on a group and misinformation is spreading, you can stand up to it and say, no, that's not the right information. Here is the right information. Personal integrity. So these are examples of pre-banking during COVID-19 that my library and I did. Okay, I don't think we have time to do this. This one I was asking what your levels of involvement are with information literacy instruction. We have 15 minutes, but can I have just with show of hands, what are some of your things you have done with information literacy instruction? Have you taught any sessions? One-shot sessions? Yes? Online guides, LibGuides, anybody? Yes? Subject guides, yeah, that's great, yeah. Credit-bearing course? No? Okay. All right, so it looks like most of us have not done that. That was, but talk to me a little bit. What are some knowledge and practical skills that LIS professionals would need in order to teach information literacy? What are some skills you think you need?
Computer literacy.
Computer literacy, of course. This is where we are teaching most things online now. So you will need those skills to teach information literacy.
New trends related to information resources.
Yes.
So they can be updated and make their students or audience updated too with the new trends.
Right. So you need to keep up with the new trends. You need to keep up with what is going on in AI literacy. How does this affect information literacy? Keeping up with the new trends, being a self-learner. What else? What are some skills that you need? Yes. Right. So you're teaching people, yes, you need to evaluate information. How are you going to do that if you don't know how to do that yourself? So some of the skills you're teaching, you need to be able to do that yourself. You need to be able to know how to evaluate information, how to tell between something that's credible and what is not credible. What are some other skills? Yes.
In using AI applications like ChatGPT, we should learn the students how to find the trusted information. Not any information appear the student could use it.
Yes. Again, evaluating information and then AI. One practical one is just public speaking skills. If you're going to teach information literacy, you're going to have to stand in front of a class and teach. And then we need to learn some educational theories, and I'm going to go into that. Let's go. Next, yeah. These are just some educational theories that you might learn. And if I had more time, if you keep in touch with me, then I will go over some of this stuff. But we talk about backward design, and this one is part of that. It's like the ADI model. Let's go to the next one. The ADI model is one way to teach information literacy. And you start by analyzing. What is it that needs to be learned? That's your learning objectives. Then you design, then you develop, and then you implement. And always you need to evaluate after you have developed your program. The IDEA model is a little bit different, but important because this one, it's embedding your information literacy course or session in a class. So this one has to do with collaborating with an instructor in a different class and embedding, let's say, your module or your LibGuide, your subject guide into that class. So when students go to learn sociology, they already have your guide, your library guide in there, and so then they're accessing that. So you have the ADI. The ADI works well if you are developing your own course or your own session, but the idea, you have to be embedded and work collaboratively with a professor or an instructor in a course. Okay. The backward design model, we will we'll jump over that. Bloom's taxonomy, okay, that's okay. I think we can end here. I'll have these slides available for you, and you can go over some of the examples of learning objectives that I've come up with for different courses that I've taught in information literacy. Backward design just talks about, you start with the learning objectives. You start with the goals. What do I want students to learn? Even if it's a session, even if it's a session like a 1-hour session, what do I want students to learn? That's where you start from. And then you go to the second stage, which says, how will I know that they have learned? So the assignments. And those assignments and activities that you create need to be aligned with your learning objectives, okay? So that's the backward design. You start with, what do they want to learn? How will I know they have learned? And then now you design the content and activities and the things that you're going to teach. That's backward design. Keep going, keep going. Okay, let's talk a little bit about evaluation. With evaluation, it's always important to evaluate what you teach, even if it's just a session. Evaluate the content. Okay, did you learn anything? What was the content? How did we do with the content and the objectives? Did you find the information that you got was related to the learning objectives? You can have, let's go a little bit. And then you need to assess the students. You need to assess the students whether they learned or not. Let's go back a little bit. Go back a little bit. Yes, right there. And then you can have a summative at the end of it, at the end of the session or the course. Okay, what did they learn throughout this time? Again, it needs to be aligned with your learning objective. And then you want to assess yourself as an instructor. Sometimes many of us are scared of being assessed, being evaluated. But you need to ask students, how did I do as an instructor? So then you can improve, you can keep on improving. So don't be afraid of evaluations, and I have an example of an evaluation that you can easily use. You will do an evaluation for this. So again, as an example. Okay, we'll end with a story here, because I love storytelling. We'll end with a story here, which again feeds into what I'm saying, that sometimes evaluation is not something to be feared. Even as an instructor, you need to be evaluated. And for me, evaluation has given me the cause to continue sometimes. You get to hear students saying, oh, I got that. And you feel so satisfied knowing that a student learned something new. So this is a student who gave me this evaluation at the end of the course. I was teaching a course in information literacy when the pandemic hit. And this student, I'm talking about the second one here, the student gave me this evaluation. She said, I felt so cared about this semester from this professor. The way she handled the weirdness of the pandemic was a relief. Most of my professors said, I know this is hard. Here is a bunch of work and deadlines to distract you, and that was stressful. Not the case in this class. I was able to complete everything at my own pace, and I think I performed better because of that. This made me just continue. It made me feel like, oh my gosh, I did something right. Because I told the students, hey, this is the deadline. Work at your own pace. Make sure you give me all your assignments by this date, and that's it. You can make accommodations like that. But when you get that feedback, it keeps you going. And then sometimes you can get bad feedback. It helps you improve. You do better next time. You can evaluate your course. Was it enough time? Your session, was it enough time? Like now, you can evaluate this session and say, there was not enough time, you know? Then you know how to adjust next time, take out some things, or ask for more time to do your workshop. So evaluation is key to everything. It can be even a program. You need to evaluate your program to see if it met the objectives you meant for it to meet. Okay, I'm gonna stop right here. Any questions? Here are a bunch of resources. If you signed up, I'm gonna share with you these slides. And thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here. Yeah, appreciate it.